Hi, it's Jeff Alpin, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. Tuesdays at noon Eastern, I spend a little bit of time answering questions from people about their job search because, frankly, I believe it doesn't have to be as hard, difficult, painful, or take as long as it does. It's just the skills needed to find the job are different from those needed to do a job. I'm going to repeat that because I think it's important that you hear this. The skills needed to find a job are different from those needed to do a job. And thus, as good as you are, there are other attributes that go into a job search. It isn't just as simple as, hi, I'm here, I'm wonderful, hire me. There's just a lot of minutia that goes into it. So Tuesdays at noon Eastern, I field questions on LinkedIn and on YouTube about job search. And if you can't answer them live, or you can't attend live, I should say, you can always mark that you'll attend on a particular show. And then from there, send the questions to me in advance, as others have done for today's show. I always field the live questions when they surface, and you may not get your answer this particular week, but you will get it next week at the latest. So again, I want to encourage you, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat so I can answer it live. In addition, I also want to mention, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. I'm also going to encourage you, and excuse that for being a little messy, but when I put it in print, it doesn't look messy. When I put it into chat, it doesn't look messy, but when it displays, it does. Sorry. Also want to encourage you, come over to JobSearch.community, where I've got video courses, books, and guides to help you with your search. Plus, I can help you as well with answers to your questions and coaching. I've got different tiers of service there, but there's free stuff available on the homepage as well that can help you. So I want to encourage you, come over to JobSearch.community, download the free stuff if that's all you want. But I think you'd actually benefit from access to me and my support of you, both in terms of the courses that are there that you can watch, listen to, or read asynchronously, and access to me where I can actually take you through a process that isn't available on the site. So again, that's JobSearch.community. And in case you don't know this, I've been putting out a newsletter on Sunday mornings called No BS Career Advice. It's on LinkedIn. I share it elsewhere, but you can get your own free subscription on LinkedIn. So just do a search for No BS Career Advice on LinkedIn, and you'll be receiving the newsletters Sunday morning. I normally release them around 8 a.m. Eastern time. And, they have my thoughts about different subjects. They also have links to content of mine and other people that I've seen over the course of the week or have released over the course of the previous week that can help you with your search, with hiring, with life, the universe, and everything, and so much more. So again, that's No BS Career Advice, which comes out at the current time on Sunday mornings at approximately 8 a.m. Eastern. Now, I will normally start these shows with my thoughts about the job market, and today is really no exception. And as I'm recording this, it's the Tuesday after the election. I didn't do a show last week. I had to take my wife to the hospital. She was having tests done. So it was going to be erratic as to whether I could be back in time for the show. And as it turned out, I wasn't going to be able to be back in time. So I was right not to offer it. She's probably going to need open heart surgery again for a valve replacement. That's what they've diagnosed, but we don't know if it'll have to come soon or not. So there may be some spotty times going forward, but I just know that I'm always there trying to help. And we're seeing the surgeon next Tuesday, and we'll know more at that time. Now, for today's show, I'll just simply say the advice I want to give you is the U.S. election is over, and thus business now knows or has an idea of how to expect the economy to be going forward. I'm not talking about any one candidate being better or worse than the other. I'm talking about business having certainty or greater certainty, which they would have had no matter who won. Now, as a result, I want to encourage you, because I'm recording this in November of 2024. Between now and the end of the year is the easiest time of the year for networking. Reach out to people from your past. Try and reconnect. They tend to be in good moods, especially as you get closer to Christmas and New Year's. It's a friendly time of year, and all you have to do is to say, "Hey, your name popped into my mind. You came to mind, because we're coming up on the holidays, and I just thought I'd reach out, see how you were. I'd love to get together with you for a little while and reconnect," and do it that way. It's real simple. Someone I work with did that and was invited to a holiday party at a client's offices where he reconnected with a lot of people, and it looks like a business deal can come out of it for him. For you, it's really just about extending your network so that in this way, as jobs come to mind, they're able to think of you. So again, this is the easiest time of the year to network between now and the new year. Take advantage of it. Reconnect with folks. Get together with them, especially if you're in the U.S. between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Do that. It will help you a lot in landing your next role. So I received a number of questions in chat, and I'll just mention before I start responding to them, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat so I can answer it live, okay? So the first question is, why doesn't HR reply after I complete the application? Pretty simple. They get a lot of applications. And you may get an autoresponder response to your application rather than a personal one. It may simply be, "We received your resume, we'll be in touch if we're interested," or words to that effect. Sometimes they're more friendly than that. But ultimately, it's, "We've got it, we'll be in touch." If you want more than that, why should they give it to you? They've got so many. Do you want them to personally call you and say, "Hi, we received your application. We'll take a look at it when we have a chance. And if we're interested, we'll go into a greater interview"? Why would they do that? Seriously, why should someone do that? They've acknowledged the application was received, so you know that. And beyond that, they don't know yet if they'd be interested in having a conversation with you about work. Give them a chance to actually read the darn thing, or to have their systems read the darn thing, so that this way it's a meaningful conversation. So they don't do it because they don't have time. They don't do it because they don't know if they're going to be interested in actually talking with you, and thus investing that kind of time to evaluate and assess someone. Just keep it simple. Don't put expectations on other people that you wouldn't fulfill for yourself if you were in their shoes. Another question I received is, what are some effective strategies for negotiating a higher salary when starting a new job? So the way this is phrased almost asks, I want to negotiate a new salary after I've already joined, which they're not really desirous of doing. After all, from their standpoint, they made you an offer that you accepted. Why should they negotiate with you yet again? If this is during the offer phase, I'm just going to simply say, go to YouTube or to my website. The video is called "The Easiest Way to Negotiate a Higher Salary." I think it's higher salary for yourself. And it will teach you a methodology for negotiation that's really gentle, really easy, and very often gets results. Now, it's ideal if you employ this before you've accepted a job, rather than after. And you'll understand if you actually watch this. Again, it's one of the first videos I ever did going back a long, long time ago. And it's been viewed by a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on it because it's a gentle way of negotiating to get results. Beyond that, I need some real data to go into personalized comments that you didn't send to me in advance here. So I'll simply say, you can go to my YouTube channel, and that's at JobSearchTV.com, and look for the playlist on salary negotiation and get some advice there. I'll encourage you to watch the videos, share them, leave a comment, click the like button, do something that demonstrates that you thought it was worthwhile. 12 words or better. That's the LinkedIn motto for commenting on a post. I'm going to assume the same is true on YouTube as well. Use at least 12 words in order to demonstrate it was worth engaging. Okay? So I've got more questions from folks. Bear with me. I'm going to copy this one and put it into chat. Bear with me. Yeah. If a person has 2 job interviews scheduled for the same day, should they go ahead with both interviews or cancel one of them? Do both interviews. Set them up in a way that you have time between appointments to relax a little bit and get your focus back. But there's no reason why you shouldn't do 2 interviews in one day. Back in the day when I did recruiting, it was pretty common for people to have 3 or 4 interviews a day. 9, 12, and 3. The fourth one might be at 5 or 5:30. And, people did as many as 4 interviews. And if we knew that the interviews were going to be relatively short, then, we could squeeze in even more interviews. But the long and the short of it is, do both interviews. Why wouldn't you? You've got time. They've got jobs. You're trying to find a new one. Put in the effort. Get yourself ready. And make sure you have adequate time for a short break between them, so that in this way you can keep your focus, attention, have a bite of lunch, all that sort of stuff. But, be prepared for the multiples. Don't just wing it as you go through it. I'll also remind you, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat so I can answer it live. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Go over to JobSearch.community, where I've got video courses, books, and guides to help you. Some are free, some are behind a paywall, where depending upon the level of service you purchase from me, you get access to me as well to varying degrees. Also, subscribe to No BS Career Advice on LinkedIn, and weekly you'll get a message from me as a subscriber with links to things I've released during the week, or some of the things. It's not all of them. Plus things that I've read from others that I think might be interesting for you. I'm also sharing No BS job search advice videos there. And in case you don't remember or you don't know, I thought I was going to cancel the show in early July, and did, until I discovered a new technology that made it so much easier for me. So subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to or watch podcasts. Come subscribe. On YouTube, because I'm re-releasing older stuff. There's older audio podcasts there. And then after I release the new stuff, I bring it over there too. So again, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, so that this way you're able to get some of my thinking and other people's thinking on different subjects. Okay. Now, I've got more questions that were asked, and here's one I thought was fun. Does not showing up to interviews affect the hiring process at other places? Maybe not on this job search. It's not like there's a secret website where people share who didn't show up on interviews. The way it usually will surface is that, well, the recruiter will know and will complain to people in his office about the fact that you were a no-show and a no response to their calls to follow up. It will show up on subsequent job searches, or may show up on subsequent job searches, because people don't forget being stood up. So don't do that kind of crap. It's baby stuff. Adults will call or send an email or text to say, I need to reschedule our appointment, or I'm going to be late, or something came up, I'm not going to be able to be there, or something else has come through for me, I'm not going to have the interview today. Best wishes to you. Good luck. I've accepted another position. Do something. Don't just simply be a no-show. They've blocked out time for you. And the result winds up being they could have given that time slot to someone else and used it for their purposes in a useful way. So don't pull this kind of stuff. Just very simply say, sorry, I've accepted another offer. I'm not going to be there today. I want to free up the time slot for you. I wish you well, good luck, and move on. Again, don't do the baby stuff, because that's what it is. You're being a baby by not showing up. So, what are some things to say to explain a gap in your resume or during an interview? And I think the simplest thing to say is, what's the truth? Like, I was laid off. I was taking care of family. My mom was ill. My dad was ill. Whomever, I was taking care of family. Or I worked continuously for 25 years and I took a career break. I went to fill in the blank country. I traveled. I had a wonderful time. I could afford to do this and just relax and enjoy life a little bit. That's another thing. Or it was a tough job market. I didn't land so fast. Or I decided to take a career break. There's a million things that you can say to explain why it is you have a gap in your background. Certainly, COVID is a factor during that time, remember? March of 2020 till whenever it was that we consider that it was over, probably a year and a half or two. Will get you through that period. So I'll simply say, try the truth. Just explain it in a way that people understand that you're not a crackpot or a whack job or whatever derogatory term you think they think, but state it with sincerity, because one thing I know from my experience is it's not just what you say that matters, it's how you say it that makes a difference. As a result, presenting in a way that sounds sincere will work. Try sincerity. It will help you. Let me just take a quick sip. Delish. Good coffee today. I've got more questions from folks. Is it good when a company closes a job requisition before sending you the interview invite? I'm pretty sure I answered this question like this a week or two ago. The answer is it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to be very brief here because I know I covered something like this previously. So I'm going to take a pass on that one. Next question, let me just copy this one in. How would the interviewer rate a candidate who is visibly nervous during an interview but knows their stuff? So I'll simply say, how do we know that they know their stuff? Because you say you do. How about being able to back it up with action, which you're not able to do because your nerves are getting in the way? I've always said when firms hire, competence is only one thing that they look for. They look for self-confidence, character, chemistry, maybe a little bit of charisma, that you care, that they can connect with you because they want to trust you. When you are nervous, it doesn't make them feel comfortable with you. They get anxious. They don't think you know as much as you claim to, and they worry about hiring you. So the long and the short of it is, how do they rate you? Not well, not well. And that's why practice and practicing how to interview is so important. I'll come back to JobSearch.community here for a moment. Let me just get my finger there. JobSearch.community. Take the video course called The Ultimate Job Interview Framework. And it will help you interview like a star. Often the reason why people are nervous is they're not prepared well and thus underperform and are embarrassed, and they feel like it's all sinking away from them, and it is. So take that course, The Ultimate Job Interview Framework. I also have it as available as a paperback and a Kindle book. Excuse me, let me just turn that down. A paperback and a Kindle book as well. And it's also available as an audiobook on Amazon. So you can, if all you want is that, you might just get it from Amazon and practice the material so that this way you can perform well and overcome your nerves. Okay. Let's see now. Next question. Oh, I love this one. Bear with me. There we go. Why won't they hire you if you're overqualified? Overqualified is a funny word. We tend to think of it as being too qualified. That's what overqualified means. I have more qualifications that's really called for. And as a result, you probably make more money than they're willing to pay someone. That's why they're reluctant to hire you, because they think as soon as things get better out there, you're going to pick up and leave. That's why. So the long and the short of it is they don't want to lose someone so quickly. And thus, they're reluctant to bring you on board. Another thing is, sometimes a person considers themselves overqualified when they're more senior than the job. And thus what really is going on is they did this job in the past. They're now a manager, director, or other type of leadership professional. And thus they aren't as good as they think they are to do the job that's at hand. They've done it before, but a firm doesn't want to pay too much for someone, which if you're at a higher level in the role, they'd have to do, which they don't want to do. And they also will believe that you'll be rusty, which the truth is you probably will be. So they don't want to do it because it's not in their interest to do it, especially knowing that if you accept an offer at a lower level than what you're used to making, you'll probably want to leave when the market gets better, or when you find a firm that'll pay you the right amount of money. That's why they don't want to do it. They don't want to bring someone on board only to lose them in a short period of time. So here's a fun one. What are some common weaknesses that people mention in interviews? So this is in response to the what are your weaknesses question. Choosing a weakness is most effective when it can be relevant to the role yet manageable. But the key is to be authentic in what you talk about. Show some self-awareness, demonstrate some self-improvement steps you've taken, and thus still at the same time a firm wants to bring someone on board who will reflect growth, align with team values and organizational values. So, amongst the things I've heard people talk about are perfectionism. Um, you know, it's a safe choice. Um, Making it credible, admit that it sometimes leads to overwork or driving other people too hard or delay in completing a task, and explain how you're working to set realistic deadlines and accept that good enough is okay when time is tight. Another one, of course, is public speaking. It's a common one, but even many high achievers struggle with public speaking. So it feels honest when you raise that one. Uh, Trouble with delegation, impatience with progress, difficulty with saying no. There's lots of little things that you can talk. Overthinking, lots of things that you can point to that will allow you to appear as though you're answering the question when in fact you're giving a relatively generic answer to their question. So that's how I would approach it. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Okay. Here's a fun one. Do employers typically contact references before a second or third interview? There are a couple of times when they'll contact a reference. One is when they're ready to make the offer. That's a typical time when that might occur. Another time is at a point where you don't even know that it's going on, where they do what I'll nickname a backdoor reference check. They know someone who works at your employer. They'll call them up and go, "Do you know Jeff?" I'm sorry, I didn't switch the thing there on the screen. "Do you know Jeff Altman?" "Yeah, I'm talking with him this afternoon. What did you think of him?" And they'll listen to the description of you and your work, and have an impression of you from that reference, that unofficial reference that means nothing but frankly everything. So does it happen typically before a second or third round interview? It can happen before you've even had a first, where they check you out privately before much of anything has happened. So those are times when references might be checked. So I do these shows for about 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Altman. I'll simply say I'll be back next week again on Tuesdays at noon Eastern with career coach office hours. Again, I'm going to remind you, come over to JobSearch.community, download some of the free stuff that's available, become an Insider, an Insider Plus member, an Insider 30, 60, an Insider Premium member. I forget the sixth tier. I always have a blank on that. But I've got 6 different levels that you can, join there with, where I coach you, answer your questions, and much more. So again, that's JobSearch.community. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you saw this. I like knowing I'm helping some folks. Once we're connected, your network is going to be a lot larger. After all, I'm member 7653 of LinkedIn. Lastly, subscribe to No BS Career Advice. I release it on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern with links to some of the articles, some of the videos, some of the podcasts I've released over the course of the week. Become a subscriber. Once you start receiving it, you'll see a lot of the value that I offer, which includes links to other people's content too, that I think is worth reading, watching, listening to, whatever it is. So I hope you have a terrific day. I'll be back next Tuesday with more. And I just want to encourage you, be great. Take care.